Yeah. This, unfortunately, but fortunately, we gotta take the EFI back off of this. It's a lot of work. And, yeah, it's gonna be about 4 to 6 weeks. So, by that time, the car show is gonna be here that we usually go to every year. That's in Salem. And, yeah, I kind of need a carburetor for that. Or something. Fuel injection. I need something. But, yeah, I'm going to have to try to figure out how to save the fuel system I have on here, but change out some parts to be able to run a carburetor. Great. 5 steps forward, 17 backwards. Life of me. Well, luckily I didn't put that carburetor on my other car yet because that car is not ready yet, and I'm still waiting on a few parts to show up. But I can still throw that back on here while we send this out. I just gotta put my other regulator back on. I'll have to make it a single feed in then. I'll have to get a fuel line rail feed to have it feeding to both of those, I think. So that way I don't gotta run 2 lines. I could just run the one that I have on here right now. Then I'll have to change up my fuel pump. But I have to make it so it's still removable and still takes the same exact lines I have. That's where the tricky part comes in, because I got to move my fuel line out, but I need to have it connect up to 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. I think it is. I don't remember. I have to go look at my other spare carburetor or a fuel pump I have somewhere and see what that connects to, and we'll just have to make it a 6 a.m. to connect to the next fuel pump is all. Just it has to be inline too. It can't be like my other one where I had it mounted up underneath by the gas tank. So yeah, and then I at least have another Mallory fuel gauge I can put in then, so that way I can still work. Yeah. And I'll probably change out the bracket I have in there just so it'll still be there. I don't know. I got a lot of planning to do within the next week, 2 weeks, to get this thing running, because it can't just sit around. Especially with the fun stuff I just put on it, we got to do something. So we'll start with getting the carburetor and the throttle body, the EFI, and the computer pocket doodad in there. That thing. We're gonna get that off. Send that out to Holly. But luckily, they're not going to charge. They're still going to take it back and check over what's wrong with it. That's the good thing. They'll at least check it. Make sure everything's good. I mean, it's only been used 5-6 times, and it's just randomly started having problems. Started with the fuel pump, unfortunately. So, it might have not even been a fuel pump. That was bad. So, we'll have to figure that out, too. But at least then, I know I can at least make it there and back on a carburetor, not have any problems other than a possible fuel pump that I can replace down the road or something like that. I am not sure. I might try to make it easy replacement. I don't know yet. I gotta look to see what fuel pumps are going for right now. But yeah, at least we'll still be able to drive it. I just gotta figure out how to MacGyver it together. So I'll get back to you guys whenever I get a plan going and figure out what I need, what don't I need, and once I get the carburetor back. So that'll be a few weeks. So we'll make another video on that once we get it back and just kind of throw it back on. So, alright. I'll update you when I get parts. Alright. So we got a few things going on now. And what we're going to do first, before we get into too much, is we're going to get the new tires, some new BFGs put on, because these ones are not 10 years old like the ones I have on the front of this right now. Yeah, in case you guys didn't know how this works, you can tell how old a tire is by looking for these 4 numbers right here. It says it's the first week of 2024, so these were made in January. So these are this year's model. That's that. These ones, if I can find it somewhere, I'm not quite sure if Nitto has them, but It usually tells you somewhere on there. We just know that they're good. These ones, on the other hand, were made in 2013. The 41st week of 2013 right there. So, we're going to get the front ends lifted up, get the tires put on. I think, just for the looks of it, I'm going to go black wall out. It kind of looks a little goofy with the white walls and then black walls, unfortunately, but I can always rotate the tires around if it comes to be. Because, I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you do white wall, black wall? Like that? Or should I just leave it black wall, so that way it's not as noticeable right now? Because I think I'm going to do the black wall for now. I don't know. We'll debate on that later. We're just going to put the white walls inside for now, and we'll go from there. So let's get these things off, get the car jacked up, and we'll start doing some balancing. Alright, well, we got some stuff figured out, okay? We got the old carburetor back on temporarily for now. Well, permanent temporary. We got the linkage all hooked back up again. Springs, leaving the EFI harness on, so I'm just leaving the majority of my wiring still, except for a few small things like, I have a few looms that I got to put back on once I get it back. So those are going to stay there. Thermostat I had to unplug, stupid stuff like that. So for the most part, carburetor is basically good to go. I'm just waiting on the fittings that I told you about for the fuel inlet here and here. You know, those spots. I got my vacuum line hooked back up. I had to take the one wire off for the O2 sensor. And then this is going to be pretty much the hardest part, is pretty much figuring this out temporarily without chopping up the wires I already have, or the tubing that I have for the lines, because it's kind of ass backwards. The feed line doesn't get regulated. It's actually the return line that gets regulated. So I'm still going to be, putting this right where it was. I have a bracket. I'll show you guys what we're making here in a minute to kind of replace this, because I'm probably not going to be putting this regulator back on here if the other one works, but it might be, so I got to keep the setup how I have this. So this return line that's underneath here, it's connected to the very bottom of the regulator, that'll still be getting used in the same place pretty much. So that one will be fine. The feed line, I need to have this running here. So I'm either going to have to take it up over top of this and run it around, because that has a 90-degree on it, to run it into here. And then I have a line that I took off, which I'll show you in here in a second. So I took this line off, and that's going to be running up to the carburetor then. So I'll have this probably on this side, and then having that main feed going in over here. Not quite sure how I'm going to figure it out yet. But that's that. And this, and there's the, Holly snapper. This is going to be the bracket we're going to have to make for that to work, because the bracket they give me already have everything kind of finished up cleanly and polished and everything of that sort. So this is going to be one of those things where I'm going to partially polish this, not 100%. But I got to draw out this too, so that way I don't have to draw any extra holes. This will line up to my original bracket I already have. And this will mount the new regulator to the bottom of that. So that's what the plan is going to be, to have that work. It's going to be set up very similar, just going to be having one feed line. Then that should be really about it until we get the EFI back. Then we just kind of redo what we just did and just kind of have what we have, because practically these are identically set up of how they got to be. It's the two inlets, which is going to be a one inlet and then one outlet for the, well, I don't know now. Well, I guess we can just plug the one, no. I don't know, we gotta plug one of the sides for the outlet, inlet, return. I gotta look into that, I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah. Alright, new tires are on, and I went with black walls, just for the cleaner look. I mean, it just kind of fits the part, what we're going with, black on black. So, it still doesn't look bad, it looks pretty decent. I like it. So now what we're going to do, since got that done, we're gonna make the bracket now for my regulator, and I figured out I'm gonna just use this pressure gauge on the other regulator. I'm gonna have to steal this plug to kind of make things work here. And this is what I'm gonna make. So it's gonna be the base here. I'm just gonna make the fold. Sorry, gotta make the fold pretty much right where this is, and then it's gonna be sitting about that much taller right there. So I gotta figure out where to bend this and how I'm gonna mount it, and I'm gonna round it and make it match up with the other bracket so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. What we gotta do now is to make that bend in our new regulator bracket. We just need to lift up on our brake. You just zoom out a little bit and you just fold it up. We'll make it about 90 degrees and loosen, and there we go. We have ourselves a decent bracket now. And we can always just adjust a little bit more, bend it a little bit more forward, which I will, but we're getting closer. Alright, so this is what my original bracket on the car is made to fit after. So we're going to make this bracket here, that's going to replace that piece there, to be a similar shape to that, both sides, so it's uniform. And that way it can just kind of sit like this on the car. All I gotta do now is sand this down, polish it, make it look as shiny as the other piece, and start bolting this thing together. So I'm gonna go get this thing polished up, and I'll show you guys it after, and go from there. Alright, so this is gonna be similar to the setup we're gonna have. I'm gonna have adapters that go to the carburetor off of this part here, and then I'm gonna have little 6AN fittings that'll go in between these two joints here, each 90 on both sides. I'm going to have the gauge in this part here just because it's only going to be needed whenever we have the carburetor on there. So that way this is removable and we'll still be able to tell the gauge pressure. So leading to this, the lines will still work. So I have my 90s, and these have more 90s on them there. And it'll just kind of lay up where I need it to be. That one's going to kind of S around the valve cover and go right up to that line that I just showed you there. And that'll kind of fit perfect. It'll be a little bit loose, but it's good enough to be able to drive safely. So that's kind of the setup. And then we're still going to use the high pressure gauge there, so that way when we change the spring out, it'll be good. The only thing I've got to do now is hopefully when I get the fittings tomorrow, I just got to get me some shorter bolts that are stainless steel like this. And we'll just have to mount it to the 2 points there, and that's really about it. And hopefully the pieces we need show up tomorrow for right here. And then that should be about it. And we'll see if this thing can start without having to run an actual feed line to the fuel pump, which won't be a big deal because I already have a line in the car that I can just run back down to the fuel pump. But we'll be curious to see what it's going to do and see if we have any leaks. But this should work, and hopefully it should fire up, hopefully. So that's the goal. I'll just wait and get until I get this tomorrow, or my bolt tomorrow, and see if everything still works fine. So I'll see you guys in the morning. Good news. We got our, fittings that we need to make this thing work. That's just the right amount to get this thing to extend out so it fits on our style carburetor. I think it's like a 4150 or 60. I forget what the model was. But now this will work. Gauge is on. These are just kind of loosely on here, so we're going to put these pieces on first. Since these swivel, we'll put these on after everything gets put onto the carburetor. And then we'll hook up the fuel line. And it's just a matter of turning the key and see if it leaks. And see if everything works. So let me go throw it on. And actually, I also got my bolts too, so that way we can mount the regulator as well. So let me get some stuff put in place real quick, and we'll be right back. Well, everything hooked up. Now it's just a matter of, turn the key on, see if the electric fuel pump wants to fill our bowls. Make sure we got good pressure. Make sure both bowls fill up. And hope that this is set at the right gauge, at the right pressure. We'll adjust that through there, put this nut in, or this set screw there. But luckily the lines actually look not the worst out of place where they should be, but it works. So that's good enough. But yeah, now it's time to see if this thing will actually start up again. So let me get everything preset and we'll try cranking on this thing. We'll turn the key on, see if we get fuel first. Okay, I got my fuel pump wire run since I'm going to have to keep it on a different circuit, but I'm going to keep the wire in the harness in case I have to hardwire that back on in case I got to do this again, because you never know. So it's time to turn the key on and see if we have any leaks anywhere. See what kind of pressure we're getting. 7 psi. We'll shut that off. Check for leaks. So far, so good. I hope the way this thing works is that it's all going back. We won't really know until we start it up. But so far, no leaks. So it's a good start. Got power. Now it's just a matter of turning the key and see if this thing cranks over. I'll loom that wire up so it's not as noticeable. I'll hide into the harness that's already in there, so that way it's back up kind of deal. And tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, we'll start this thing up and see what happens. It's ready to go. Hopefully the setup that Holly said that'll work with a high pressure fuel pump, hopefully it won't cause anything to go a little wonky. So only one way to find out, and it was getting about, from what this was telling me, it was pushing about like 10 psi, so that's good. And this was getting about 7, which is what you want. And we got fuel in the bowls, as you can see. So we're good. Alright, so we got first start back on the carburetor. We already had the fuel pressure checked, no leaks on anything, so it's just a matter of starting it up. A few pumps. Right up. So far, it's not too bad. It's just like I never took it back off. Your tires feel decent too, so that's a good start. Sounds good with the fuel pump too, and it doesn't sound like it's working too hard. I don't know if I want to give up the carburetor now. Well, that's going to do it for this video for right now until we get some more video of the car on the road. So we're going to be doing some more driving. It has a weird noise, like something's like rotating, rubbing off something. I'm not sure if it's in the transmission or if it's in the rear end, so I got to get the car jack back up for that. But that's going to be in a little bit future because there's a lot of stuff happening right now that's going to impact the channel in a good way. So we'll get back to that on another point in another video. But for right now, we're just going to cruise it to a car show here and there just to see if we can figure out the noise, maybe at most the least cost-effective way of doing this, at least. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And we'll get back to you with another video as soon as I can. Like I said, there's a lot of big good stuff happening for the channel right now, so please tune in soon. I'm going to try posting you guys all the updates that I can when I can, and take it from there. So you guys have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.